Good evening, everyone. I am Christoph Ellie. It is a real pleasure to be here this evening. This is my first real broadcast on HAPS TV. I did a test broadcast there last night, but it's a real pleasure to be here tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing if we can have a few people join in and connect. I'm going to be playing a few songs. The featured act for tonight is the Tragically Hip. I don't know if you're familiar with that band. They're a Canadian band. They've put out 13 studio albums over the years, and they just released some new music just this past weekend. Um, the Victoria Day and Memorial Day weekend, and so I was sort of reminded of their music and reminded of how much I missed, these regular releases of their music that they would put out regularly. Sadly, their lead singer Gord Downey left us a few years ago, just over 3 years ago now, and so that was a great, huge loss to the country. Really, his sort of presence on the music scene was always very big, very huge. They were one of the biggest sort of Canadian rock bands around. I'm just realizing now that you can't see me. Oh, that's not good. Uh, yes, isn't that unbelievable? The technology here. Um, so let me get that resolved. There we go. Okay, that's better. So you must have been wondering, like, what is going on here? I can't see this guy talking. Uh, yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, um, um, sadly, Gord Downey left us a few years ago, and so was real surprised to hear that the band was going to be putting out some new music, and so they did this big live stream this past weekend. I'm trying to remember the name of the release. It's Saskadelphia, I think, is just the combined Saskatchewan or Saskatoon and Philadelphia, and came up with the name for that release. And if you are a Tragically Hip fan, I would strongly encourage you to um, check out. You can find it on YouTube. The release that they did last Friday night, and the awesome thing about it is that it's a few of the guys from the band, and it's them talking about the past releases that they've had, and some songs that didn't end up on albums that are part of the release. And as they're discussing all of this, they're playing some of the tracks, which is really kind of cool. Um, so I'm not sure. I don't see anyone having joined yet. But this is my second time on HAPS TV, and so I'm not expecting too much at this point yet. Just trying to get on a regular basis here, and what I am going to do though is I'm going to check things out on Facebook. If hello to everybody who's on who might have joined on Facebook, I'll just check and see if I can log in here on Facebook and see if we can, yeah. So, how is everybody doing today? I know that here in Ottawa, the weather suddenly got pretty cold. It's cooled off a fair bit, and but things are doing okay on the numbers keep going down on the COVID side, and so things are looking up a little bit for the next few months. So we're looking forward to being able to just you know get out of our basements, right? So anyway, without further ado, I'm just going to go on with the show here. I'm going to play you some music. Um, like I said, the featured artist this tonight is the Tragically Hip. So I will start off with some Tragically Hip. And speaking of Gord Downey, one of the things that stood out, sort of as in particular on the last tour that they did, and when they did do that last tour, they tried to go right across the country and hit every city, and I was lucky enough to get tickets on the very night that they were in Ottawa. And I got in touch with a few buddies of mine, and it just wasn't working out. Like nobody was sort of available to get out, and I knew I had to get out to this show. And so I went online, and this was like at 6 o'clock at night. The show was starting at 7:30, and I guess they released some tickets. And so some tickets came available, and I was like, oh, like I was almost shocked that there was tickets available. And so uh, I, but I was like, I can't pass up this opportunity. I bought a ticket on the floor, and I just decided to go on my own. Got in the car, told my wife and my daughter, I've got to go. See you later. As a matter of fact, I think it was my daughter Lila who said, like, you can't miss this show. You got to get those tickets. And headed out to the show, and it was just incredible. Fantastic show. Absolutely fantastic show. They played all their great tunes, and yeah, it was just a super great experience to see that show. And a couple days later, they were in Kingston for their absolute final show, because that's where they're from. And we watched that show on TV, and I mean, of course, it doesn't compare to being there live, but even the songs they played in Ottawa, it was just so glad that I went to that show. So, on that note, there's a song called Wheat Kings. Sundown on the Paris of the prairies, wheat kings of all treasures buried, and all you hear are the rusty breezes pushing around the weather vane Jesus. A Zippo lighter sees the killer's face. Maybe it's someone standing in a killer's place. 20 years for nothing, well, that's nothing new. Besides, nobody's interested in something you didn't do. We kings pretty things. Let's just see what tomorrow brings. There's dreamy dreams where the high schools didn't start. Say museum, we're all locked in there after dark. Walls are lined, the yellow gray, sinister, hung with pictures of our parents' prime ministers. We kings and pretty things. Let's just see what tomorrow brings. Late breaking story on the CBC. Nation whispers, we always knew that he'd grow free. You can't be fond of living in the past, because if you are, then there's no way that you're gonna last. We kings and pretty things. Let's just see what the morning brings. Oh, that's what tomorrow brings. Yes, we kings. That song was written about David Milgaard, a guy in I think it was Edmonton, who was charged with rape, actually, and he was thrown in jail. And it turned out that he had nothing to do with the crime at all. And it wasn't till over 20 years later that they finally were able to establish the fact that he wasn't the criminal. He wasn't the person responsible, and they released him. And so the Hip wrote that song about David, him having his whole sort of youth. I think he was quite young actually when he was put in jail, like 15 or 16 or something. So yeah, that's the thing about the Hip, is that they always had a way to sort of introduce sort of these legendary stories, Canadian stories, into their music. It was really quite amazing. Some of the songs that they have out there on the various their various albums that they put out. Um, I've always just loved Gord Downey's writing. It was just incredible. Um, but let me move on now to a couple other songs here. I think what I might do is just open with one that, if you're new, I see a couple of people have logged on. Unfortunately, I can't seem to get access to Facebook. But looks like a few people have logged on to Hops. Welcome, those of you who have joined on Hops. Thanks a lot for tuning in tonight. Let me just see where we're at on Facebook here. Oh, look at that. We've got a few more people joining. Okay. Oh, there we go. So maybe we'll do that, run that in case people join on Facebook. Bear with me here, folks. Just sending a little welcome message out to those on Facebook. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a tune for you now. Disappearing again. This song, and let me a couple of things here. So this is a tune off my first album. The first album is Deepest Shade of Blue, and this is a track off that. The song is called Gold, and it was sort of written about just this whole thing that sometimes the idea that the grass is always greener on the other side. Be careful what we're tempted by is sort of the theme around this song. It goes like this. 1 billion people captive by destiny, the lure of a market so vast, so virgin. We open our arms to the man with the keys to the grove. Freedom is relative to your point of origin. Turn on your television, write your senator, or run from the square, from the tanks, from the bloodshed left there. It's like gold, oh, it's like gold, oh, when we're sold on the prospect of riches untold. There's no kings in the air. The players watch nervously as the cards are dealt their opponents respectively, guarding their keep from the drug they all too well know. Fortunes dwindle, nerves fray, tempers rise, voices raise, then out comes the 9. Son, you're not leaving life. It's like gold, oh, it's like gold, oh, when we fold at the prospect of riches untold. Oh, it's like gold, oh, it's like gold, oh, when we fold the prospect of riches untold. Hotel rooms secluded, no one's the wiser. Their spouses respectively, home in their houses. Passion explodes, their lives into pieces untold. Trust and deceit both have their value. If you coldly calculate the dips and the rises, you're left in the end with a choice and a future unknown. It's like gold, oh, it's like gold, oh, when we fold and the prospect of riches untold. Oh, it's like gold, oh, it's like gold, will I fold the prospect of riches untold? I'm hearing a little bit of sort of distortion and stuff like through that. I'm not sure if that's what the sound is like. If anybody uh, can let me know what the sound is like out there, that would be awesome. Greatly appreciated. Um, yeah, that was a song off my first album called Gold, and yeah. Always it's nice to be able to play that song with the loop and be able to add some lead onto it and that kind of thing. uh, just in the last few years, like sort of picked up doing sort of more of the looping of songs and that kind of thing. So looks like John's joined. Johnny, good to see you, John. Thanks for dropping in. That's awesome. uh, Interesting thing that John and I were talking about today, just online, is that sadly with the epidemic, um, there's been a lot of casualties with respect to small businesses, and yeah, so unfortunately, there's a really wonderful little diner in John's neighborhood that ended up having to shut down. Just yesterday was their last day that they were open, and John and I were reminiscing on the times that we'd had bringing our daughters there for breakfast at different times and that, and yeah, so yeah, so it was nice to think about that, but then just sad to see these places closing down. And I'm sure that all of you are sort of experiencing that in your towns. That there's been like a lot of casualties in that respect. It makes us realize like how important these little sort of family owned and smaller businesses are to us. So yeah. So anyway, glad you've joined in, John. Uh, and yeah, that's for you, baby. So I'm gonna play some more music here. Um, let me see about. Here's another one from the hip I used to do. Okay. Before I play this song, I'm going to try and fix the sound here because I think I've got a problem. There we go. I think that there's a problem here. Her voice just don't sound right. But I left myself on the answering machine, said I'm back in town tonight. She stepped out of the wilderness, all squint-eyed and confused. babies raised by wolves, they know exactly when they're being used. See, but when it starts to fall apart, man, it really falls apart. Like boots or hearts, or when it starts, it really falls apart. Woo! Fingers and toes, fingers and toes, 40 things we share. 41 if for you includes the fact that we don't care. I see you blocked off most of Main Street as part of your faith parade. Well, but everyone in town now, they probably all agree I'm lying in the bed I made. See, but when it starts to fall apart, man, it really falls apart. Like boots or hearts, or when it starts, it really falls apart. Ooh, fall apart. Now you won't even let me talk to you. We've got some air to clear. Well, we probably only agree on one thing anyway. That's what the hell is happening here. Oh, fingers and toes, 40 things we share. 41 for you includes the fact that we don't care. See, but when it starts to fall apart, man, it really falls apart. Like boots or hearts, or when it starts, it really falls apart. Woo, fall apart. Yeah, that one was off their first album, Up to Here. Still think it's like maybe one of their best. Looks like we've got somebody else there on who's watching on Facebook, and we've got a few people on Haps. Yeah, if you're on Haps, say hi and let me know where you're tuning in from. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, um, I'm actually from Ottawa. I'm living here in Ottawa in Canada, and was born actually in the U.S., but have lived up here in Canada most of my life, and in particular in Ottawa. I've been here since like grade three or grade four. So, yeah, but I was also mentioning that, things are starting to turn around a little bit for us. We're going to be opening things up a little bit in June, which is nice. And yeah, I wanted something else I wanted to talk a little bit about is what's gone on in Israel the last few weeks. And I want to play you a song that I wrote. And I guess the thing is, the reason why I bring it up is I find it just really troubling that I wrote this song like 6 or 7 years ago because I was just so saddened to see the bombing of Gaza a number of years ago, where in that case I think there was like maybe over 200 children that died. In this most recent situation, I think there was there was over 60 children who died during the bombing of Gaza. There was also a child that died in Tel Aviv as well, I think in Israel. But the fact that these children are dying and that these bombs are being dropped everywhere, like it's just, really saddening to me. And to think that, I think that in the situation, the most recent situation, not to get into the details because I don't think anybody really wants to get into the details with respect to, these kind of conflicts, but there's no reason why, uh, that Gaza needed to be bombed the way that it was by Israel. And that was really sad to see. And it was this time, 7 years ago, under the same situation. And at the time, Israel called this operation that was taking place, they called it Operation Cast Lead, that I wrote this song. The song is called Mirrors. A piece of paper signed, no longer signed in blood. Targeted political assassinations, US-led standard. Negotiations, fabrications, shot in the back again. Another truce broken, glass shatters, fragile trust. Another day in Kansas City, surrounded by this war. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide as the rockets fall. Arrows falling from the sky as the sirens cry. Race for the shelter, run outside as the children cry. Lies coming from all sides as the accusations fly. From our leaders, no love, no respect. The people's peace denied. The people's peace denied. Another day in Kansas City, surrounded by this wall. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide when the rockets fall. This daily life is no life at all. Some people under siege. Settlements to checkpoints, freedom at gunpoint until you bleed. Western leaders stand in line, arms open wide. Arms for fighting, not for embracing, clearly the wrong side. When people protest around the world, see through this veiled disguise. Let's give peace a chance. No more alibis, no more children have to die. Another day in Tel Aviv, trapped behind the city wall. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and the rockets fall. Another day in Kansas City, trapped behind the city wall. Mirror, mirror on the wall, when will you fall? When will you fall? That was called Mirrors. And just to give you a little bit of background on that song, I just find the irony almost too much to take. When you think about the fact, what Jewish people experienced in Germany, having been through that experience, and then to now be in a situation where they have control, like in Israel, that Netanyahu, and I lay this at his feet more than anybody else, but when he has the power and he is in a position where Israel is occupying Gaza and the West Bank, that he would, use the force that he does and drop bombs on that small area. It's just really sad to see. It's just so sad to see, and there seems to be very little appetite to try and come to some kind of resolution. More and more property is taken up by the Israeli state, and so anyway, it's a really sad situation, and and I hope that also a bit disappointing to see Biden seems to have helped sort of negotiate some kind of peace process, but he waited for a long time after a lot of damage was done. So anyway, I don't know how you please add your comments if you'd like to. I'd be interested to hear what other people think about that. But I know for me, I just found it really tough to see those children in Gaza and that child in Israel, seeing them die for what, for what, really. It's just really sad to see. Anyway, on to another topic here, I think. But actually, what, I'm going to end with one song related to that. This is a song by Steve Earle, which is, I think, a hopeful song about the situation there. It's called Jerusalem. I woke up this morning, none of the news was good. Death machines were rumbling across the ground where Jesus stood. And the man on my TV told me that it always been that way. There was nothing anyone could do or say. And I almost believed him. Yeah, I almost lost my mind, but I regained my senses again. Looked into my heart to find, well, I believe there'll come a day all the children of Abraham will lay down their swords together in Jerusalem. Maybe I'm dreaming, maybe I'm a fool, but I don't remember learning how to hate in Sunday school. Somewhere along the way I strayed, never looked back again. I can still find some solace now and then. Oh, the storm keeps rumbling in, I can't lay me down, and the drums are drumming again. I can't stand the sound, 'cause I believe there'll come a day all the children of Abraham will lay down their swords together in Jerusalem. be no more barricades then. Yeah, we'll tear down Trump's wall and they'll wash all this blood from our hands. Wash the hatred from our souls. 'Cause I believe there'll come a day the lion and the lamb will lay down in peace together in Jerusalem. We'll lay down in peace together in Jerusalem. That was a song by Steve Earle, Jerusalem. So let's get back to the featured artist tonight. Get away from that rant and on to, hey, thanks, John. I'm going to do another tune by the Tragically Hip right now. This song is called Over Opiated. Bought 2 fists of lead-free gasoline. See, the bottle is dusty, but my engine is clean. Bought a nice blue suit with the money could find. If Bride didn't like it, St. Peter wouldn't mind. Now I lie here out of breath and over opiated. Maybe I couldn't catch up, no, but maybe he could have waited. Well, the medicine man, he started seeing red. You see, the snake just dreams up the poison in his head. Well, addicted to approval, well, addicted to the air. See if you like it or I'll see you up there. Now I lie here out of breath and over opiated. Maybe I couldn't catch up, no, but maybe he could have waited. Now I lie here out of breath and over opiated. Maybe I couldn't catch up, no, but maybe he could have waited. Here out of breath and over opiated. Maybe I couldn't catch up, no, but maybe he could have waited. Now I lie here out of breath and over opiated. Maybe I couldn't catch up, no, but maybe he could have waited. 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 Yes, tuned by the Tragically Hip, featured artist of the evening. So, How is everybody doing out there? How is everybody doing out there? How are you? How was your day? How was your day, Johnny? Yeah, that's a great tune for sure. Over Opiate. Another one off of their first album, Up to Here. Yeah, if you're enjoying these tunes, I want to check out some of the Tragically Hip stuff. Um, Blah, is that what you said? Yeah. Oh no, I hear you. I think that that's the sentiment. John on Facebook said the day was blah, if I'm reading that correctly. Um, but I think that's the sentiment pretty much across the planet uh, for how they're feeling these days. Hopefully, hopefully we can get this place opened up and I mean, I really feel too, though, that like I mean, while it's been a disaster, like this pandemic has been such a sort of terrible thing that we've had to endure. I think that it also has like forced us, to sit a little bit more quietly, and ponder, the world that we're living in, and when you look at whether it's climate change and or just the how fast our life, how fast we live our lives these days, it's just such a rat race. And I think the one thing that the pandemic did do is forced us to slow down. And I'd be really interested to hear. I don't know if somebody wants to make a comment on this, but like, I'd be interested to know sort of what things that you did pre-pandemic that you sort of shelved now, and you're saying to yourself like, once this pandemic is over, like I'm done with that. I'm going to move on to living my life in this way in the future. I know that. For me, I think that one of the things that we started, we grew a garden this year. Well, we did last year, but we didn't have the greatest success at it. But this year, we started growing a garden and in the backyard, and that's just been awesome to go out and cut up some lettuce and some coriander and some spinach and bring that in for dinner has been like kind of a really cool thing to experience. And that's something that, we sort of had the time to be able to try it out last year. And so we're giving it a try again this year. And I think that that's one thing that we're going to keep at for, into the future. But yeah, I mean, be interesting to see how our world changes after this. I mean, sadly, like we were talking about earlier tonight, the whole thing around small businesses and Amazon just bought MGM. So you've got Amazon buying MGM, and you've got like these little smaller businesses that are just going under because we can't seem to support those businesses. Our governments don't seem to be able to keep them afloat, which is really unfortunate in this time because I mean it's through no fault of theirs that a lot of these businesses have gone under. And meanwhile, the banks just float along, no problem. They just keep pulling in their interest on whether it's credit cards or mortgage payments, everything else. So yeah, and um, that's what inspires me to write music and to perform and that kind of thing, is to sort of connect with people about some of the things that I feel like we can have a positive impact on together. I really believe that if all of us put the pressure on, these bigger corporations to whether they to have them be more environmentally responsible, or our governments to, take climate change seriously, or to address, like, a lot of the issues that we have facing us, like around poverty and um, so many things, immigration. Um, yeah, there's so much to address, So, and on that note, I think, like, yeah, John just talked about this. The city of Ottawa is. This is almost embarrassing to say, and there seems to be some kind of rationale behind it, but the optics are brutal on this. Is that the city that we live in here is giving a tax break to a Porsche dealership? You know, Now they say that the revenue that's going to come in from this Porsche dealership is going to offset that, and then they're going to take that money and put it into community housing. So that's the kind of thing we like to hear, is the community housing thing, and affordable living for people in the city. But giving handouts to Porsche dealerships, not exactly high on the list of things that we think that we can really get behind in terms of trying to help the world out here. Um, yeah, exactly. We're the tax breaks for small businesses, and it's not just, and they need way more than tax breaks. Like, a lot of these businesses are going under, but not only that, they're not only just going under. They're going under because, like, even though they've gotten some subsidies, like they haven't had to pay their rent, for example, or often it's just been put off. You don't have to pay your rent right away. You don't have to pay your mortgage right away, but you're going to have to pay it at one point. Meanwhile, you have no revenue coming in. You got to pay your rent at your house, because you've got to live. You've got to pay for your food, everything else, and so yeah, there's definitely an imbalance there, and we've got to look after the small businesses first, as opposed to these. Like, we've got enough dealerships, and I don't even know that we need a Porsche dealership. Who the hell's going to buy a Porsche? Who can afford a Porsche in this city? Nuts, So, and this is something different that I'm going to do for you right now. So, along with being a singer-songwriter, I also have tried to do some writing, and this last year, like starting in January, what I did was I started a series called the Songs for the Revolution series in January, and each month I've done a different, taken a different topic, and I've written about it. And this is my most recent article. I'm going to read it to you right now. So please bear with me here. And if you were more interested in hearing the music, then you can always tune out, I guess. But hear me out maybe for a second here. This is the article that I wrote. I'll just show you what it looks like here. Like, I don't know if you can see that. And that's published on rootsmusic.ca. And it comes out every month. At the last Wednesday of every month, this gets published. And so this month, the article is Songs for the Revolution, Indigenous Voices Rising. And so that was really my focus this past month. I got in touch with a few Indigenous artists that I know, And I asked them for their input. Amanda Rayom, David Finkel, and Jay. Oh my God, Jay, forgive me, Jay. Um, and then the other artist who I got in touch with was Jay Gilday. My apologies, Jay. Jay is a wonderful singer-songwriter, and his sister Leela Gilday is incredible as well. So let me read this to you right now. This is Songs for the Revolution: Indigenous Voices Rising. Um, so let me begin by acknowledging as an ally that this article is being written from traditional unceded, unsurrendered Algonquin Anishinaabeg territory. I would also like to acknowledge the rich history of this land. Songs of the Revolution would like to focus this month on the incredible Indigenous artists on this land while acknowledging the continued burden imposed on Indigenous peoples by our society and the governing powers here on Turtle Island. We are fortunate to have such diverse Indigenous talents in our folk community. Artists like Amanda Rayom, Digging Roots, Tom Wilson, William Prince, Leela Gilday, Jay Gilday, David Finkel, and Don Pritchard, among so many others, have been consistently writing, producing, and releasing great music through the past years. Our larger folk community has not only been exposed to the music, our larger folk community has not only been exposed to the music from these artists, but also has been guided by their contributions through panels, events, books written, and Indigenous showcases that often go beyond the presentation of just the music, but also present a culture that is healing to us all. And I've witnessed this many times at conferences that I've been at festivals that I've been at or performed at, where the Indigenous artists sort of lead the way with some really incredible sort of community-based things that really provide, some guidance and some hope for all of us, really, when you get to understand their culture more. A few things that Indigenous artists are up to right now. At this moment, Amanda Rayom, a singer-songwriter of Métis heritage, and Shoshana Kish of the band Digging Roots, an Anishinaabe community organizer, seem to have taken full advantage of the quieter waters during this pandemic and have collaborated on 3 major projects. One is the National Indigenous Music Organization. They are also working to set up a record label. And the third is like the third annual International Indigenous Music Summit, and that's coming up June 8th to June 12th, if you're interested in checking that out. And that's available online. You can go to indigenousmusicsummit.com. And this year the event will include the option to have an Indigenous meal kit delivered to your home. That's an incredible thing that you can check out. Ottawa Summer Solstice Festival also is presenting the Indigenous Music Awards in June. The nominees include Ottawa-based artists, including Twin Flames. Twin Flames are from Ottawa. They're an incredible Indigenous duo, and wonderful, wonderful people. Cody Coyote, another great artist. David Finkel, who I'd mentioned, is with Sandrine Massey Savard. They have a duo called Okara, and they have a wonderful album. It's like classical, but they do a number of covers, but on classical guitar, and I think Sandrine plays fiddle on it. It's just beautiful. And the award winners will be announced on June 12th through the National Arts Center. They're going to do a live stream there. At Folk Alliance International Conference this year, the International Indigenous Music Summit hosted a panel that was just incredible. If you're interested in any of this, drop me a comment or send me a note, and I can get you some more information on this. And then I also highlight a song by Jaylee Wolf's new song. And this is what I wrote about it just briefly. I won't bore you too much with, not bore you, I'm not boring you, but I know it's a lot of talking here, but I'll just go through a little bit more of this. Jaylee Wolf, artist Jaylee Wolf, in a recent interview on CBC's Unreserved, described her ascension from being a 60s scoop child to being reborn into her biological family. She described meeting her grandmother and aunties, the wisdom, and how that is their wisdom, and how that is shaping her music. She has like a really just gripping video that she put out. Her song "Child of the Government," inspired by her relationship with her biological father, is gripping. Her work is an example of how art can heal. It informs and educates us while touching us deeply. And this video that she did was like really, I was really touched deeply by it, seeing it. Jaylee's website includes the following information from the 1950s into the 1990s. The Canadian government and the Catholic Church were responsible for taking or scooping more than 20,000 First Nation, Métis, and Inuit children. This is from the 1950s. This isn't that long ago. The 60s scoop is just one other example of the atrocities Indigenous people have faced on this land we call Canada. Discrimination and inequities persist, and we cannot forget the legacy of intentional trauma from residential schools that broke families and communities apart. This separated children from their culture. It has actually accurately been described as cultural genocide. You know, I mentioned this in the email that I sent out to people yesterday. In my regular, I send an email out every week. But I talked a little bit about this, but or at least I was thinking about this, is just that, you know, you can't imagine, like, you know, if you think of your family, you imagine if, first of all, as a parent, you know, to have your kids taken away from you and brought to somewhere where you can't be in touch with them. And then for them as like young children, like how that, like they tried to, like, that's why I believe it is like, when they say that it's a cultural genocide, I believe that that is the case, really, because, you know, that just destroys families. That's trying to um, uh, you're actually making an effort to try and destroy the families, you know, by doing all of that. It's really a sad part of our history, but I think that um, it's one that we have to face. We talked about truth and reconciliation with Indigenous people on this land, and it starts with the truth. And that's the thing, is that that's something that we have to face. It wasn't something that we were a part of. Like, you know, I wasn't a part of that, but now, because of that, I benefited. Um, I have privilege because um, that took place in some respects. I've had opportunities that those people have not had, you know, growing up. Um, so I think that I'm gonna, like, if you'd like to read the whole article, go to rootsmusic.ca, and I would really encourage you to check it out. Rootsmusic.ca, Indigenous Voices Rising. And I'll just end on this last part of the article. Uh, I spoke about in the article about Truth and Reconciliation. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendations provide a framework for beginning the work required by Canadians and the Canadian government to address the inequities in society. The reality remains that today it still needs to be said, Indigenous lives matter. And if you're reading this and don't understand it, or saying like all lives matter, which lots of people continue to say, what do you mean all lives matter? Then please keep on reading, keep on educating yourself, and perhaps soon you'll be helping others heal too. And I say that because, um, of course, all lives matter, but clearly Indigenous lives, Black lives don't matter as much as white lives, because we're not doing all that we can to ensure that they have the same um, opportunities that you have um, as a white person. So, and the fact that many of them die at the hands of police, um, it's just something we've got to face this in society. We've got to do something about it. It's the same thing with George Floyd and his death. We've got to make some changes like in society, and we can't just go along with what our government's doing because it's just not enough, you know? So, and I go on to just talk a little bit about Truth and Reconciliation Commission puts forward calls to action in the areas of child welfare, education, health, language, and culture, and justice, among others. Here are some themes, like just some things to keep in mind with respect to Indigenous lives. We need to reduce the number of Indigenous children in public care. There's way more Indigenous children that are in public care than the rest of in the rest of Canada. Provide appropriate annual reporting. Adequately fund education for Indigenous children. Indigenous rights include Indigenous language rights. Indigenous health, establish measurable goals to close the gap in health outcomes for Indigenous people. The justice system requires, lawyers require appropriate Indigenous culture competency training. Special thanks to David Finkel, Amanda Rayom, and Jay Gilday for their contributions to this article. As people receive the protection they require against the coronavirus, we will have the opportunity to start anew. Let's be thoughtful about how we restart. So those are some of my words in the article that I wrote this past month. And if you want to read it, you can find it at rootsmusic.ca. So yeah, that was. I know that was kind of long, but I thought I'm trying to do things a little bit differently, and I'd love to get your feedback on whether did you find that enlightening? Did you find that interesting? Do you have any comments on what I said? Let me know. Yeah. So. I am going to play a little bit more music, though. I am going to play some more music. Oops. Wow, I got to watch that. Okay, back to the music. Do we have people on hops? I see that there's people there. I'd love it if somebody on hops could maybe just say a hello in the comments, just so that I can believe that there's actually people on apps. Because it says there's 21 people, but maybe it's a quiet bunch. And what are you going to say when somebody's like just talking? Right, so. Anyway, thank you to everybody who is tuned in or is tuning in at a later date. Because this is actually being posted on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. So there's lots of ways you can see this. And really appreciate, whatever comments you have in terms of whether you like the idea of me, reading some of the article that I was writing, some of this music that you're hearing, whether you like the idea of a featured artist. This is for you all, as much as I enjoy performing, I'm performing stuff that hopefully you're interested in. So, yeah. So thanks for tuning in, John. I appreciate it. I appreciate your comments. And let me play some more music for you. These are some new songs I'm going to play for you. I've written these songs this year. This one I'm going to start with. This song is called "As the River Flows." You see despair, you act, you care. I see the wrong, I write the song. You're not alone, we're a choir of people, don't you know? So sing your song, we'll sing along. As the river flows, so flows the voice of the people. With each drop of rain, the river grows. With each voice raised, we grow louder with each day. In the dawn sky, together we rise. I wake up each day, trying to make my way. It's a winding path, I'm trying to stay on track. Is it the same for you? I know there's more together we can do. Just call my name, I'll be on my way. As the river flows, so flows the voice of the people. With each drop of rain, the river grows, and with each voice raised, we grow louder with each day. In the dawn sky, together we rise. As the river flows, so flows the voice of the people. As the river flows, together we rise. As the river flows, so flows the voice of the people. In the dawn sky, together we rise. In the dawn sky, together we rise. That was As the River Flows. Yeah. John was cutting me off there. He was like, okay, enough talking. Enough talking. Here's another song. I'm going to do one more song for you tonight. Do another song for you. I need my glasses to be able to read what the comments people are making. Let me just do that. Shut up and sing. Yeah. Thanks for joining, John. Appreciate it, man. So this is a new tune. I don't know if you heard this one. I think you've heard this one maybe, John. I'm not sure. But let's see here. I am going to... okay. Here we go. Sorry, folks. Having some trouble with this here. Let's try this again. Air we breathe, the water we drink, keeps us alive, makes me think. All we need is here if we dare to see each other, to be fair. 'Cause there's just one rock spinning around the sun. For us to share, us to care for this one rock. spinning around the sun. What we need and what we want, sometimes it's hard to tell them apart. All we do to change what we've done, look to, 'cause there's just one rock spinning around the sun. Us to share, us to care for this one rock spinning around the sun. Taj Mahal, Niagara Falls, we do a lot to protect them all. This fragile earth is our beating heart. Up to us to do our part for this one rock spinning around the sun. For us to share, for us to care for this one rock spinning around the sun, spinning around the sun. Got to finish learning the lyrics to that song. That was one rock. Well, I think that's I'm going to call it for the night. On that note, I usually play some videos through the course of the night, and unfortunately, I can't do that yet. I will be able to do it over time, but I'm just trying to figure out this HAPS platform, and it's coming along pretty good. Like, I mean, I'm able to run OBS, which is like the system that I'm running to live stream. It's making its way over to HAPS, which is good. I've set things up so I can see comments and that kind of thing, so that's nice. It looks like there's 20 people who are watching. So thank you to all of you who dropped by tonight, and thanks to everybody who's maybe watches this after or that kind of thing. And I'm going to keep this up every week. I'm going to be doing some different stuff, like I did tonight, reading you the article that I wrote for rootsmusic.ca. And I really hope to get some feedback from you with respect to what you'd like to hear as well, and so that this can be an interesting show for you to tune into. So thanks a lot for tuning in, John, in particular. Thanks a lot, buddy. Great to see you online, and have a great night, everybody. And we will see you next Thursday night, same bat time, same bat channel, 9 o'clock Thursday night. Hope to see you out again. Take care.